Imagine sitting in a room, a perfectly empty room with nothing but a chair, no phone, no books, no windows, just you and the absolute silence. How long could you last before the itch starts? Before the subtle panic begins to rise in your chest? Before you feel that desperate clawing need to distract yourself? To fill the void with anything other than your own echoing thoughts? It's a terrifying prospect for most of us in the modern world because we have engineered our lives to eliminate silence. We are constantly plugged in, notified, updated, and surrounded by a digital chorus that never sleeps. And yet, if you look back through history, if you study the biographies of the people who actually changed the world, the great artists, the revolutionary thinkers, the spiritual leaders, the inventors who dragged humanity forward, you find one common, undeniable thread. They all spent immense amounts of time alone. We are told that humans are social creatures, and this is true. We need connection to survive, but there is a massive fundamental difference between loneliness and solitude. And understanding this distinction is the key that unlocks potential, because loneliness is the pain of being alone. It's a deficiency, a feeling that something is missing. But solitude is the glory of being alone. It is a state of abundance. It is the deliberate choice to step away from the noise of the herd to commune with your own mind. And it is in this specific state that the seeds of greatness are not only planted, but are given the space to actually grow. Think about the sheer volume of information that bombards you every single day. The opinions of others, the news cycle, social media trends, the expectations of your family, your boss, your culture. It is a relentless current trying to shape you into something that fits in, something predictable. And when you are constantly surrounded by others, you are constantly reacting. You are in a state of defense, adapting your mask to suit the situation, mirroring the emotions and ideas of the group. Psychologists call this social contagion, where we unconsciously adopt the behaviors and modes of the people around us just to maintain social harmony. While this keeps the peace, it is the death knell for originality, because you cannot find your own voice if you never stop listening to everyone else's. And this is where solitude becomes an act of rebellion, a necessary act of defiance against the pressure to conform. When you step into solitude, the inputs stop. The reactive mind gets a break. And for the first time, perhaps in a long time, you are left with only what is already inside you. And this brings us to a fascinating intersection of philosophy and modern neuroscience. For a long time, philosophers have argued that truth is found in silence. But now, brain imaging technology gives us a clue as to why. Because when you are focused on the outside world, when you are scrolling, talking, or working on a task, a certain network in your brain is active. But when you stop, when you disengage from the external, a different system takes over, often referred to as the default mode network. And for years, scientists thought this was just the brain idling, like a car in neutral. But they were wrong. This network is actually incredibly active. It is where your brain consolidates memories, envisions the future, constructs your sense of self, and most importantly, makes loose associations between seemingly unrelated ideas. This is why you get your best ideas in the shower, or while driving alone on a long stretch of highway, or on a quiet walk in the woods, because you have finally given your brain the silence it needs to stop processing new data and start synthesizing what is already there. And greatness, true creative or intellectual greatness, is rarely about finding a new piece of information that no one else has. It is almost always about connecting two existing pieces of information in a way that no one else has ever seen before. And that synthesis requires the mental bandwidth that only solitude can provide. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest inventors to ever live, understood this implicitly. He famously said that the mind is sharper and keener in seclusion and uninterrupted solitude. He believed that originality thrives in seclusion free of outside influences beating upon us to cripple the creative mind. And he didn't just say it, he lived it, organizing his life around long periods of intense solitary work. But there is a deeper, perhaps darker reason why solitude promotes greatness, and it has less to do with productivity and more to do with the structure of your soul. Because solitude forces a confrontation. When the distractions are gone, you don't just meet your creativity, you meet yourself, the real you, stripped of the social persona, and that can be a terrifying encounter.